Hello, friends. Good afternoon. Jai Hind. I'm Major Mohammed Ali Shah, and today I'm going to be in conversation with a personality who needs no introduction at all. You all know him. You all have seen him on television giving his brilliant analysis. You have read many of his articles and his analysis in the leading journals of the world, internationally, globally, all over. A very, very renowned figure. Yes, I have the honor of being in conversation with Ambassador Anil Trigunayat. In fact, Sir has been the ambassador. He's been to various countries on various assignments. I would just because there's a long list of countries Sir has traveled to, an illustrious IAS officer. Well, I would particularly name just three of them right now, but subsequently we'll come on. He's been ambassador to Jordan, to Libya, to Malta, and Sir has done amazing work over there. Amazing work. He is associated with the Vivekananda Foundation, and we will talk about various things about which you all would have been hearing about his answers on the Israel, Palestine, Hamas. But here we are going to touch upon an angle which you all would be more interested in knowing, perhaps. So let's go ahead and let's welcome Ambassador Anil Trigunayat. Sir, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for spending time, sir.
Jai Hind, Major Shah. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you on your very dynamic channel and talking to such a dynamic personality.
Thank you very much, sir. Such an honor. Such an honor. So let's start from your early childhood. Were you always fond of traveling? And how was your childhood like? And what inspired you to join the Indian Foreign Services, sir?
Well, Major Shah, I was born and in a place called Bareilly. And then I studied in Nainital. There are nice boarding schools there. And I continued to study there till my master's. In between 2-3 years, I had gone out. But I did my master's in physics from there. And I used to be a national level boxer also. So that took me around. But my basic, I had this always, to today, I have this urge to travel. And travel means you are exploring new places, meeting new people, learning new modes and cultures, and talking to, and experiencing the life as it is. So that is something that took me around. And even during my vacations, I used to go to different parts of India, do the tracking, going around all over. And then I did not have to really work in a job because I became the first person in my whole family to have joined the government service. My grandfather was at all during the British time was against anyone joining the government service or serving the British. My father also was not that very keen because you do things at home or your farm or whatever it is. But at the same time, since I had studied mostly in boarding schools, I thought of what can be the good job. In fact, you'll be surprised that at one time, because I was traveling so much, I thought it would be good to be a roving writer or a journalist. But anyways, well, somebody has to do something else. So my first job at the time, and then I came to JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and for some reason, I could not get admission there in the International School of International Studies, even though I had got very good marks. Some professors there thought, who were interviewing me, that I had come there only to appear in the civil services exam. So they purposely did not put me, but I was fortunate to get admission in the Russian language and history and civilization class in there. And then I studied everything. And of course, the environment in JNU is amazing for even civil services. A large number of people qualify from there. So when I came to JNU, because when I came to Delhi and I had a friend and I just joined there, and it was a life-changing experience in the country. And today our foreign minister is also from JNU, Dr. Jaishankar. The finance minister is also from there. The earlier CEO of Niti Aayog and G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Khan. So we have a very large community of people from JNU who are there. So that's why I was particularly, the only job I applied for was the foreign service, nothing else. Because I had seen a lot of people there, and I thought that it will also fulfill my urge and continuation of in a foreign environment. But before that, as like anyone else, you keep writing various exams to test your knowledge, to build upon this thing. So I had qualified in different exams in the meantime, wrote the Forest Service exam, wrote the Police Service, wrote many other exams like that. And but I joined something called Customs and was there because at that time in 1980s there were so many smugglers in India, very famous, well-known, notorious rather, not famous, smugglers there in the 80s. And so I thought that as a young man, what drove me was that I should go and catch them or try to do something for the country. But once you arrive there, then you realize that everything else but that. And so I resigned from there. In the meantime, I had qualified in Air India as a flight purser. So I joined that flight purser job. I had no clue what this job is all about, except that you are working in the airplane and you travel all over. And so that was one of the reasons. And I joined that, in fact. And I traveled with Air India in good old days. Air India was one of the best airlines at the time and a profit making airline, I must say. And traveled about 40, 45 countries with them during my 1 year, 10 months. And in the meantime, I qualified in the Foreign Service and I came here and I joined it after tossing a coin. It was the most difficult decision for me to leave that glamorous and well paying job and come to a desk job, frankly. So, but when I came here, I gave my best. My first posting was to a place called Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, in West Africa, a very beautiful country, a country which was at that time to speak economically, but like all other countries, it has also made many mistakes. It was a French colony earlier, so the people were very francophonic and more French than the French, like we have in India. Some British, more British than the British. So, like that, there was this. And then from there, I came to Bangladesh and then to Mongolia. And I chose to go to Mongolia. We can talk about it a little more in detail. And it is a country where minus 40, 50 degrees temperature is normal. And from Mongolia, I went to New York as state commissioner. And I was in New York. Then I came back to Delhi. I was in Delhi for about a year. And I worked on the passport division. And then I went to Oxford University for 1 year and did my research in World Trade Organization. And then came back, went to Moscow first time, and then Sweden, Nigeria, then came back to Delhi. And again, I went to Moscow and then to Libya and to Jordan. And then Malta.
Wow, that is quite a journey, sir. That's so. I mean, they say traveling is the best form of education. I mean, that way, if you see, you would have learned so many new cultures, so many different languages, so many different cuisines you would have tasted, so many different dressings you would have seen, and I'm sure you would have been having a box full of all the goodies you got from different countries, sir.
It's true. I mean, the most important thing in there is just to see how people think and how they react to you. I remember my very first posting when I went to Abidjan, Ivory Coast. So I had gone to get my consignment released in the customs department. And I was sitting there. In that country, they love football, soccer like anything. They're crazy about that. So they were talking about it. Suddenly they saw me. And then they said, oh, about India. Now, at that time, we were nowhere. And I don't think even today we are very big in football. But that they said that this country with 1 billion people and, like so many of them, how's your football team and things like that. So they were very excited and asking. So one of them asked me, and I was thinking what to reply to this particular question. Because you can't say we don't have a team, that you can't produce a team out of this 1 billion people. I mean, what justifies it? Those are small countries with hardly any 5 million, 10 million population and have excellent teams. So I was just wondering what to say. There's one of the guys there. He said, oh, you don't know what happened. This India, I said, so I was wondering, I said, what is he going to say? He said, no, Indians have been forbidden to play.
Sir.
I said, then he said, why? He said, because they know magic. And once they played and they made 100 goals. After that, they've been asked not to play in any international tournament. Now, it was a face saving for me. Right. So I was wondering how these stories float. You remember there was in hockey, there was Dhyan Chand.
Yes.
In the Olympics, his stick was changed, Major Dhyan Chand, and it was changed so many times. Right? Even Hitler was excited to see this person. And apparently at that time, the 36 goals or something was made. And this story like that eventually got converted to football, and then India was connected with magic and this that because it was said that he used his magic or something. That's why many times his hockey stick was changed. So this is how the stories float. But that day, that story really saved me.
Sir.
Then Bangladesh, I came there at a time when it was a very difficult situation because the government of the day at that time did not have good relations with us. And
Sir.
but Bangladesh people, they liked India a lot. I had a lot of my school friends who were industrialists, businessmen, and all. So it became a very interesting posting for me, and I was handling visas there at that time, consular and visa matters. So everybody would come to you because they want to come to India most of the time. So it was an excellent in that sense, despite the political relations not being that great. We had a very good relationship at the popular level, which continued. Today, it is one of the best relationships that we have in the neighborhood. And then I chose to go to Mongolia. Now, that is a story that my boss, who became the foreign secretary later, he was very upset with me. He said, "Why are you going to Mongolia? Who goes there?" I said, "I want to go there because I had read a news item. And in the news item, it was written that an Indian ambassador is a Buddhist monk. So the Buddhist monk, the Leh airport in Ladakh, which is named after him. So as the Kushab Bakula was there, and I thought that working with a political religious leader like him would be an exceptionally different kind of thing, like you cannot get that kind of an experience. And it was 1990, the Soviet Union was disintegrating, it was under the Soviet influence. So I thought, and I just came to Delhi and wanted to go there. And that was something that I say it was an exceptional experience for me. This was one country where Indians were loved because of Buddhism. And they were Buddhist country. They were coming out of the Soviet control. And because during the Soviet regime, they decimated the Buddhism and any other religion completely. So there was one monastery only. Then Ambassador Bakula, who was their political religious leader, he was treated like a living god. So if we sought an agreement with the president of the country, he'd be, considering it a great privilege that Indian ambassadors come to call on me. So British and American ambassadors used to tell me, they said, "You have done a coup in this country." So the goodwill that we had, that is something exceptional.
Sir, there were a couple of calls, which was trying to disturb you. Maybe it was somebody from there who was trying to call you, who was hearing us, who was trying to call you there. Sir, there are a couple of things, एक शाहरुख खान का डायलॉग है, someone just mentioned recently to me that, कि जवाब से सवाल नहीं, सवालों से जवाब. So that reminds
Yes.
me of a couple of things which I observed, which I noted. One was, sir, you've been a national boxer. My father's been a national boxer as well. So hence he
Wow.
named me Muhammad Ali over there, and I too have been a boxer. and he too, did his schooling from a boarding school in Int'l. He went to SEM, sir, St. Joseph's College.
Sherwood. Okay.
SEM, sir, SEM, St. Joseph's.
Okay.
Sir.
Excellent.
Sir. So
Great.
whenever he meets anyone from Sherwood, first thing he says, I hate Sherwoodians. He says that, they both, and the other person says, I hate people from SEM. And they give each other a warm hug thereafter.
Right.
Then, sir,
Absolutely.
one really big takeaway from you is, sir, about JNU when you were mentioning that the first time you did not make it to JNU, it teaches a lesson to all of us that to learn to take failure in your stride in whatever way possible it may come. At that time, it may look like a failure, but ultimately you see where the end result matters, where you reached. Thirdly, sir, I have one question for you. You said in 80s, that time the smugglers were very infamous at that time. So was it around the release आपने डॉन देख अमिताभ बच्चन की डॉन देखने के बाद डिसाइड किया सर
बिल्कुल।
जाने का?
No, it was not dawn, but of course, one is idealistic at a very young age. When you're coming out of college, school, and we used to see those movies as Amitabh Bachchan's. He was a bully and whatnot. So everywhere, and they're true stories actually, and I have met quite a few of them during my time there in Bombay. The fact is that they are not apart from your life. I mean, they are part of the life. You have to deal with them, these situations. But as a young person, you would like to think that, this is a bad thing, so it must be eradicated. And if I can be part of that program, and why not? And then you make a lot of ideas in your mind and how you would do it. But going there, trying to work on it the way you thought, or staying totally honest, uh, it is a challenge sometimes in life. And because one person can't do, you need the whole system to go after. And then once you arrive there, then you realize that what are the limitations, that you are not able to do something that you want to do because you are the junior most in the hierarchy. So that also works in a way. But my drive for that was this one, that let me try to do something about it. And I used to dream also sometimes, like, okay, why not? Yeah? While wearing the uniform, you can always just go do something interesting. Yeah.
So, so you mentioned about the uniform. Also, I would like to know how was your experience with the various different attaches of the country that you went to, especially particularly so when you were the ambassador.
I can tell you one thing. I don't know. You spoke to my wife yesterday. She told you or not, but uh, that is my best experience working with the defense officers. What I like about them the most is number one, they're so disciplined. They never say no. The moment you discuss something, ask them, can we do this? Yes, sir. Or we just give it to them, they'll do the best. Some of them, and who I worked with, have reached to the top in their services. And but when they were there, I can tell you that they were one of the finest officers, and they have gone where they deserve. And not only that, I mean, I can tell you about Nigeria. Nigeria, we were there. It was a difficult life for people. Very often you could have attacks and all that on the Indian community. So their welfare is always the primary job of the government, always how to do. So we tried to create some kind of a, I would say, database of the Indians, how we can respond immediately to their requirements. If there an attack happens, somebody needs a blood or something like that. So there used to be a defense attaché at that time, Brigadier um, Dikshit, and Praveen Dikshit. And we became great friends after that. But, once I told him, I said, Praveen, we need to do this. So we have to develop our contingency plan. Everybody hears about evacuations and all that, but there's so much goes behind these evacuations, and it's a continuous process. In every embassy, or every ambassador in our country, in every country, has to work on those, and just to see that they don't fail or there is no problem. So you got to envisage every single opportunity. So he was such a great help for me and such a gung ho, going, developed everything. Even he did not have typing staff, so he'll be typing himself. And that was an amazing thing. And we have stayed friends for life now. Likewise, in other countries also. So anywhere we have been, in Moscow, all the events, everything that were there. Of course, it's a very important relationship for us in which the defense officers play a very critical role because that is defense and security is a major component of the relationship. So, I mean, I can just say that by virtue of their training, positivity that is there, discipline that is there, those are the amazing traits. Apart from that, they know their job very well. They're great analysts. They do everything. And I can see you are also an actor. So this is something that is, that they have this personality, which really I've found each one of them. I cannot say that there was any bad apple. Everybody was wonderful. I mean, I don't know if it's the selection process or something. I have myself gone through a GDOC process, by the way, in
Oh,
Clement
sir.
Town in
In
Dehradun.
Dehradun, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Did the SSB there, yeah.
Oh, lovely, sir. Lovely,
One
lovely.
of the finest interviews I can tell you
Sir,
for
sir.
5 days. Yes.
Wow, sir. Wow, the kind of exposure you have had. I mean, it's overwhelming, sir. Truly overwhelming. Sir. Sir, we were talking about, the defense attaché. When my father was in the mid 90s, he was the defense attaché to Saudi Arabia. So he was looking after Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Yemen. So we had the privilege of visiting that time. We went to other countries. We went to UAE, we went to Egypt, we went to Jordan, where you were the ambassador later on. Jordan, I have one very, very particular memory which I'll never forget in my entire life. We went for a dip in the Dead Sea. And when we went for a dip, we were told you can never drown here. I was very quite relieved. I was like James Bond. The more the water, the saline water went to my eyes, and I would rub it, obviously. And the
But
more I would rub it, the more saline water would go into my eyes, and I would scream the lungs out of me, sir. So, how was your first experience in Dead Sea, sir?
well, I had gone to Dead Sea first time, and I think that was in 2008 when I was joint secretary in the ministry looking after that region. So I had gone there for a conference, and then I went to Dead Sea for the first time. It was amazing, actually. You have to be very careful and cautious. The people told me that keep your head up because the moment your water goes in, or the eyes, as you mentioned, it burns for a long time, actually. So the trick is just to stay still as much as you can, and slowly with the hands, if you can wade through, that will be the best. But I can tell you that the people say that you cannot drown in it. But unfortunately, during my tenure, one Indian managed to get drowned in that also.
Oh my goodness. Oh
So
my
yeah, because of this, he had a heart attack. He lost his cool, and just were not able to manage it. So this is there, but Jordan is a very beautiful country.
Oh
It is a
yes.
historic country. It is a moderate country. It's a people are so nice there, and in this current war, they are also on the threshold basically because the country had more than 60% of the population is of Palestinian origin, including the queen herself. She is of Palestinian origin, Queen Rania. But the King Abdullah and everybody, they are he's also a direct descendant of Prophet Muhammad. And therefore, he's also the custodian of the third holiest mosque, Al Aqsa, in Jerusalem. So his role becomes very important. Besides, Jordan and Israel had also signed a friendship treaty or peace treaty in '94. So this is another second country after Egypt. So this is that's where the best thing I like about that place is that they are very moderate. They are anti-terrorism completely. There is, of course, I mean, all kinds of people live in that country. From when Iraq was invaded, a lot of Iraqis came and disturbed there. When Yemen, the problems happened. A lot of Yemenis from Libya. When I was there, I saw a large number of them coming and settling in the country. So it's a small country with not very many resources, depends a great deal on the tourism that they have, like Petra and Dead Sea that you mentioned, or the Red Sea, Nakba, or the desert. They are all such beautiful places and a continuous civilization of 10,000 years. That is the most beautiful part about it. So you could delve back into the timeless space whenever you travel to any place there. So that's an amazing, like Noah's, and I mean, history is replete there. You can see a place near Jordan River where I'm sure you remember where Jesus Christ was baptized and crossed into Israel. Now
Of
that's
course.
so it's like being there in a part where you can really delve deep down into the history as it may have unfolded.
Sir, absolutely, sir. Sir, and also let's talk about your time in Libya. How was it like, sir? How was we? And you must be there must be a lot of Indians also were there along with you.
Well, Libya, in fact, is one of the richest countries in Africa. Now, it is a distinction of being a part of North Africa and Middle East, both. They're part of the Arab world as well as part of the Africa. So there was Colonel Gaddafi was the leader, brother leader, as he used to call himself, with his green book and whatnot. Now, he was very ambitious. Of course, during 42 years, it is people become corrupt, they become strange, they become anti-people, they do not allow any political initiatives to take place, no initiative rather. So if you fall in line, then it's okay. The moment you try to do something, you eliminate it. Now, those are the kind of things that happen there. But Libya, what was happening is I was posted at the time is in Moscow. as a deputy ambassador in the rank of ambassador. And we had the visit of the prime minister there. That time, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh was there. So when he came there, the foreign secretary told me that we were discussing whom to send, and there is a general consensus that you should go there. Now I said I'm left with a couple of years, few years now, and why would I go to a non-family station? And I was reading, and I was actually being DCM there. I was able to. My job also to coordinate with the Russians exactly briefings, taking briefings from them because we had closed our embassy there, so there were no inputs coming. But Russians were continuing to go forth, back and forth, and all this. So there, in a special envoy, I used to meet and get the briefing. So I was aware exactly of the ground situation. But we did not know that there was such an anti-India feeling in the country. Normally, Arab world, the Africans, they like India. They love Indians. They want to, feel them as brothers. This is the standard everywhere you go. But what happened is that we had our policy that we don't support the military intervention by any country in another country. So India had abstained on a UN Security Council resolution, which was brought in by America and other countries for bombing and creating a no-fly zone over Africa, so over Libya. Now, war was going on. Large number of Indians were evacuated already. And finally, when I arrived there, we uh, I thought that it'd be okay. Our residence, actually, the ambassador's residence was also totally decimated by the vandalizers. And we, I arrived there at the airport. My officer came to from the embassy and one deputy chief of protocol. And he brought me and we came down and we walked through this VIP lounge, which Gaddafi's lounge it used to be called. And in that lounge, there were all these militia groups were lying around with big, huge guns, all kinds of things, on the sofa sets and whatnot. This is a gigantic place. And I said, Assalamu alaikum. And nobody responded, which is very unlike of Arabs. They will always respond. And one or two did, but majority of them just looked away. They, Indian. So there was grassroots apathy against India, hatred, because they thought that we had not supported the cause of the revolutionaries. And Gaddafi's media machine projected as if India was with Gaddafi. So you can imagine the job of the ambassador is so difficult in such a situation. We had to look after whatever Indians were left there. We had to look after our own business interests. We had to look after developing the political relationship. So it was a great challenge. And all the time there were firing taking place and over. I stayed in a hotel and then I shifted to the residence after 3 months once it was done up. And all the time, you never know. But I always believed, Major Shah, that you cannot die twice. So it makes no difference if you are, like you force people in the forces, you are there to there. You are fighting for a cause, for a nation, for your interest, country. So you are there. So irrespective of whatever the situation, but if we were able to help Indians and finally change the perspective of the local government. And, I must say that I was very fortunate in one way. God was with us probably. That in the hotel I was staying there used to be an elderly gentleman with whom everybody was talking. So finally, I got talking to him. And he used to be the Libyan ambassador in India, New Delhi, in 1980s when I was in JNU.
Okay.
And at that time, we used to go to his residence along with some Arabian students, or Libyan students. They used to once in a while drop in at their place. And I talked to him and he did not remember me as it is, but he said, yes, several students, including so and so. And one of them is the students who had been living in Germany for all these years, became the prime minister of the country while I was there. Ali Shah. So he was from JNU. So that was something that immediately worked to our advantage and helped us a great deal. So God has been kind, I must say.
So that's very nice, sir. And so that reminds me also of one quote by William Shakespeare, where he writes, "Cowards die many times before their death, The valiant
Yes.
never face death but once. So that is what you said is very, very true, very, very right, sir. And so let's talk about your tenure at Malta. How was it like?
Well, Malta is a very beautiful country. Again, a very, and this you remember that in the Second World War, it was the most bombed country in the world.
Yes.
In the Mediterranean, just situated between Libya and between Rome, Italy. So southern Italy is very close to it, and it's a tremendous history. You know, there are these some of these pagan temples which are 6,000 years old, and when you look at them, it looks as if you are in a, you know, how could it have happened even at that time, 6,000 years ago, when you know forklifts or any mill, this thing. But that is there. Then there is the Arab culture. There is a mix of these all, you know, uh, all kinds of invasions took place in the country. Eventually, it was a British colony, and it was liberated by them. But can you imagine that a small country like that has uh, the highest strength in terms of R&D. You know, their technology, their pharmaceuticals, their in robotics and all that, very advanced and very good. So, and they were very important for us because we had to evacuate a lot of Indians very many times from the region. In fact, when I left Libya, I went to uh, I was in Jordan. I arrived in Jordan, and my minister called me, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, God rest her soul. She called me. She said, uh, "We would like you to go back to evacuate these 400 odd persons who were stuck in Benghazi." And that was another challenging time. But the prime minister at the time, I had before I left, when I called on him and I requested him, I said, "We might need your help once again." And he said, "At any time for you." So I was stationed in Malta to evacuate these people during that period also.
So, so in they say in Rome, do as the Romans do, जैसा देश वैसा भेष. So Jordan में it's very very common where people wear suits. Like we had come from Saudi Arabia. Actually, we had finished a tour of Bahrain, Kuwait, and then we had come towards Egypt and Jordan. So we had seen people wearing those thobes and gotras, the white robes, and they wear that headgear. In Jordan, it was something very very peculiar. They would wear a suit and they would wear the headgear, which Arabs wear. So, did you have an experience of wearing that, sir, as well, while you were there?
No, I have actually no. I am not born, but I had those dresses.
Okay.
Definitely, I mean, these people were a gift they gave a prince when you meet the crown prince and others and all. So, but you know, they are very modern, very highly educated. Their workforce has been the driving force at the managerial level in the Middle East. In most countries, you will find a large number of Jordanians working in managerial positions and all. That's why they are able to send $3-4 billion in remittances to their country, which is not nothing compared to ours. We get $100 billion or so, but for a small country like that, it is significant. So they are very smart people, and the best thing is that you know they, even though they have a tribal culture, they have their tribal identities. You know, they are very passionate about the Hashemite kingdom.
Yes, sir. True. Sir, you've had such an illustrious career, illustrious, and sir, your writings, I must say, oh my goodness. मुझे खास तौर से I have to give an analysis. I look through your writings. कि आपने क्या
Oh,
लिखा
thank you.
होगा? And
Thank you
then
very
I understand. It helps me understand. It's so simple for everyone to connect with. And then I give my analysis on television. And I've had the honor of sharing a few panels with you, in fact, on. But let me tell you, this has
much.
been much more interesting sharing the screen with you on this channel on YouTube, then talking about strategy, on analysis, on global affairs, and talking something very very serious. Here was a very very light-hearted discussion with you, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
before I let you go, sir, I don't feel like letting you go. I know you've been very very busy. You are very very busy, and you've been very very kind. So, any last message you would like to throw out in the universe from your side for anyone, be it for a youth, be it for IFS aspirants, be it for anyone?
Well, Major Shah, the problem is what I find that the world is today in a transition and disorder. And the countries that were supposed to maintain it are the ones who have abdicated it completely. And that's what we are seeing today, these geopolitical contestations, geo-economic contestations, geo-religious contestations. And these are the ones which are dividing the world. And I am unfortunately seeing it in our lifetimes that we are heading towards a Cold War 2.0. And with the Russia-Ukraine war, with now Israel-Hamas war, before that was the pandemic, the Chinese intransigence and the way the aggressive behavior, the Pakistanis continuing to maintain their terrorism as an instrument of their foreign policy. The many other countries are not able to. They want to distinguish between A terrorist and B terrorist, my terrorist and your terrorist. Now, those are challenges, and these are the man-made challenges. On the other hand, you have challenges which are like the nature, climate change. It is a very major challenge for which you require the human uh, solidarity completely, the international solidarity, which India tried to really project during the G20 summit. Now, what we did. So, with this kind of disruption that is happening in the global scene, I think some sanity is a must. It is important that we talk to one another. There is a dialogue, there is a diplomacy, and when we are talking of peace, we must be doing something about it also. It is very important, and I think that currently, of course, there is does not seem to be a quick end to either of the two wars. But as far as Israel-Palestine issue is concerned, as soon as the dust settles down, I think that major countries, including India, must take the lead to bring about uh, some kind of both sides of the negotiating table. At least let them start talking. Otherwise, groups like Hamas will grow up again, and because of the injustices, historic injustice done to them, they will once again try to do that. So we are going to see the repeat of it. And likewise, in Russia, Ukraine also, it is important that this war could not have happened. But the superpowers, they look up after their own interests in such a way that they're ready to go to any length. We have seen Russia is a great friend of ours, and Prime Minister Modi has often told the Prime President Putin, whom I have also had the honor of meeting many times, that we need to. The world has to come together. Otherwise, we are all mutually assured destruction syndrome, and that is what is going to. So, I want to leave it on a hopeful note, and the hopeful note is that diplomacy is the only hope.
You're right, sir. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Diplomacy is the only hope. And just yesterday, sir, I had the honor of being at the Modern United Nations event at Don Bosco School in Delhi, where Mr. Anupama Trigunayat was, and we were the special guests, in fact. So we were there on stage, and ma'am gave such a wonderful
Thank you
speech.
so much.
And she concluded the speech by saying, I could have been more interesting, but I was told the topic of discussion is only UN and diplomacy. So I did my best what I could do as a diplomat, as a senior diplomat's wife. And it was so interesting to hear, ma'am. Sir, it was equally interesting to hear you just now. Both of you make a wonderful couple. And thank you very much, sir, for spending time, sir. My regards to ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You are speaking so highly of you too. I mean, in your speech, what you shared, your thoughts about your acting career and whatnot. I mean, you are a person with such a tremendous diversity. I mean, God bless you and all the very
Thank
best.
you. Thank
It's
you
my
very much,
pleasure
sir.
to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me the honor, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind. Jai Hind.